All right, let's look at the factor label method. This is a method that we're going to use in chemistry to solve multi-step problems, and we can use it also to convert from given units to desired units. The first thing that we need to discuss are what three things do you need in order to be able to do a factor label problem. The first is the desired quantity. This is what are we looking for? What is the question asking you? The second is what is the given quantity? What information are we starting with? If you are given 50 miles and you are asked how many feet is that is the desired quantity. To figure out that kind of equation or that kind of problem, you need conversion factors. That's the third thing. Conversion factors are standard numbers that equal one another. So we know that in 1 foot we have 12 inches. We also know that in 1 mile there's 5,280 feet. In 1 day there are 24 hours. These are standards, these are constants. Each of these conversion factors can actually be written in two ways. So let's just look at the 1 foot equals 12 inches. We can say that in every 1 foot there are 12 inches, or we can say there are 12 inches per 1 foot. You're going to want to remember that you can write them either way for when you're setting up your factor label problems. The best way to really understand this is to look at some examples. So let's look at one. Here we have a question. How many minutes are there in 2 days? So first we want to look at, okay, what is the desired quantity? What are we looking for? We're looking for how many minutes. Okay, so this is our desired quantity. Our given quantity is the information that we are starting with, that is the 2 days. So we are given 2 days specifically. What conversion factors are we going to need to get from days to minutes? Now, I don't know about you, but I certainly don't know one off the top of my head that tells us exactly how many minutes there are in a day. But I do know that there are 24 hours in a day. And then from hours, I can go to minutes. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So those are conversion factors that we're going to use to solve this problem. So what we want to do is we're going to start with our given quantity. We're going to write it in the top left of our setup here. So our given quantity is 2 days. So I'm going to write it right here. And what we end up doing is that ends up being a numerator or in the numerator. So you're going to draw a line across, and for every conversion factor, you're going to separate them. You're going to separate the conversion factor. So we're first going to go from days to hours, because again, we don't know exactly how many minutes there are in 1 day, so we're just going to go to hours first. We know that there are 24 hours in 1 day. Now, I could put 1 day up here and 24 hours here, but the key to factor label is to cancel out units. If you have a unit at the top or in the numerator, in order to cancel that out, you need that same unit in the denominator. So we're going to take this 1 day and put it at the bottom. And we know that we have 24 hours in 1 day, so we're going to put 24 hours at the top. In this way, days can actually be canceled out. Notice you're only canceling out the unit, not the numbers. Save the numbers for later. Now we have the unit of hours, but again, our desired quantity is minutes. So how do we get from hours to minutes? We use the next conversion factor. We know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. And we're going to do the same thing. Make sure that since you have hours in the numerator here, you want hours in the denominator here. So 1 hour has 60 minutes. Okay, now hours has canceled out. Since now we are left with our desired quantity, we don't need to do anything else to set up our factor label. Now, all we have left are our desired unit and these numbers that we have to do something with. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply all the numbers on the top. So 2 times 24 times 60. And that's going to be divided by all of the numbers that are at the bottom. So here it's easy because it's only 1 times 1. Now, when you do 2 times 24 times 60, you will get 2,880. Don't forget your unit, that is minutes. And you're dividing by 1, so you can just leave that out because you don't need that. It is not necessary in this case. So remember that this answer is telling you how many minutes there are in 2 days. So if I ask you how many minutes are there in 2 days, you write 2,880 minutes. Make sure that you always remember to put in your unit. Otherwise, it's just 2,880 whatever. We don't know what it is. Okay. So let's try another example, because this is just one of those things where the more examples you try and the more problems you try, the better you will get at it. This one is a little bit more challenging. Okay. Here we're going to convert 60 miles per hour into feet per second. So the desired quantity is feet per second. And our given quantity is miles per hour. Now, there are a few things that we know, okay? We know that in 1 hour, so these are our conversion factors, in 1 hour, we have 60 minutes, okay? And in 1 minute, we have 60 seconds. So that's how we're going to go from hours to seconds. But how do we go from miles, this was supposed to be miles, from miles to feet? Now, there are actually 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Okay? So, again, we're going to start, now, those are all the conversion factors we're going to use, and now we're going to start with our given quantity in the top left. So we have been given 60 miles, and we're actually going to put the 1 hour on the bottom, because that's what it really means, 60 miles per hour. 60 is in the numerator, 1 hour is in the denominator. And you can extend that division line all the way across. Change colors here. And we can really do whichever conversion factor we want at this point, but I'm going to go with miles first. So first we're going to convert that 60 miles into feet. Okay, remember we want miles on the bottom here in order to cancel them out. So in 1 mile, we have 5,280 feet. So now miles have canceled out. So the units we have left are feet per hour. But that's not what we want. We want feet per second. So now we're going to have another conversion factor. We're going to take this 1 hour and convert it to minutes. Notice this is a little bit different because here you have hour unit in the denominator. So for this conversion factor, you need it in the numerator in order for it to cancel out. So in 1 hour, we have 60 minutes. Now hours have canceled out. The units we have left at the top are feet, and at the bottom are minutes. So this is going to give you feet per minute. Again, that's not what we want. So we are going to get rid of that minutes and figure out how many seconds it's going to be. So we know that in 1 minute there are 60 seconds, and since minute is on the bottom here, we're going to put minutes on the top here. So 1 minute has 60 seconds. And now your minutes have canceled out, and the units you have left are feet and seconds, which is exactly what you want. You want feet per second. Once you have it set up, now you do the actual math part. You do the 60 times 5,280 times 1 times 1 divided by 1 times 60 times 60. You can pretty much ignore all of the ones. Multiplying and dividing by 1 doesn't really do anything, nothing exciting. When you multiply 60 times 5,280, you get 316,800, and that would be feet. And then when you multiply 60 times 60, you should get 3,600 seconds, because that's what we have on the bottom right here. So seconds. Put this in the calculator. 316,800 divided by 3,600 will give you 88 feet per second. Okay, sorry about that. So you have 88 feet per second. Okay, so you don't really have an idea of how fast that is unless you are looking at a value that you're more familiar with, like 60 miles per hour. But in chemistry, we're going to be using feet per second. So anytime I give you a non-metric unit, you'll need to use conversion factors in order to convert it to something a little bit more usable. We'll do some more practice problems of these in class. Make sure that you try the practice problems that I list on the website. All right, that's all for now.